Welcome into the CHGO White Sox Podcast, coming to you live from Studio B of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, our CHGO White Sox beat writer, Vinnie Duber. Follow him at Vinnie Duber, and you could read his latest piece up at ALLCITY discussing our main topic, Erick Fedde. He literally was in the conference room typing away for a good hour, typing up what Erick Fedde had to say about his transition from South Korea to the South Side. We'll be sharing the entire Zoom call with you later on in the show, so you'll get to hear Erick Fedde's voice for the first time. I know people are waiting on pins and needles for this.
He sounds like a regular guy with a regular voice.
He really, really does. Erick Fedde, he's just like you and me, except he's 6'4" and is an MLB pitcher who just made $15 million.
And he's been to South Korea, like probably the vast majority of folks listening have not.
Yeah, right. He's a well-traveled individual.
That's pretty high on my international travel list.
Same.
Wish list. Yeah, South Korea. Yeah. I think it looks cool.
Do you have a number one, guys? Also, Sarah's producing us today.
Hi.
Do you guys have a top place to travel to?
I feel like I just throw them all out there and be like, whichever one of these is actual ends up happening. I did my number one. That would be Australia. So that was always at the top of my list. But South Korea's on there. Scotland. I'd like to go see Scotland. If Argentina looks fun. We were hearing all about Will Gottlieb's trip to Argentina at the holiday party the other day. So there's some up there. Switzerland. Ooh. I'm Swiss, so I would like to go to Switzerland.
See them Alps.
Yeah.
I've been to Switzerland once.
Oh, yeah. What was it like,
Very
Sarah?
Nice. It's gorgeous. I was only there for a day, though, because I had a layover, but it was a 24-hour one, so me and my friends still kind of explored. But...
I was going to say, like, you were just going to be like, I've been to Switzerland. It looks beautiful from the terminal.
No. But I do want to go there for, like, an actual trip. Yeah. But
good place to be laid over in.
Good chocolate.
Either being laid over in Switzerland or Tulsa.
The Zurich airport is actually very nice.
I bet.
Yeah.
But anything in that part of the region's beautiful and lovely. AJ lore, we're getting some baseball kids lore in the chat. He said he used to live in New Zealand.
That one looks great too. I'd be all about going back. I know it's not the land down under, but it's down under on the globe. Yeah. So yeah, I'd be down to go back for that.
Absolutely. I think my place, I've been to Ireland before, but I was only 10. And the one thing is I fell asleep in the car all the time because the air is just different over there. It gets heavier. So like every drive, I did not get to sightsee because I was asleep. So I'd like to go as a full-grown adult. Maybe I'd be able to handle that trip better. So Ireland would be cool. I think Japan. Yeah,
that's a big bucket list.
Yeah, I know it's big for people, but it's interesting that you guys went to South Korea first. But let's move into Erick Fedde, who knows all about South Korea. Vinny had the first question, and he basically asked, how was Korea? What was that experience like? And really, what have you changed? What is different from Erick Fedde from 2022, who last pitched with the Nationals, to this Erick Fedde that will be pitching for the White Sox in 2024? Here is Erick Fedde.
Yeah, I think it started right with that offseason. After my last year with the Nats, I knew some things had to change. Just wasn't having the success I wanted. Ended up picking up and moving to Arizona to kind of get to a workout facility and a pitching lab called Push here in Arizona. And then they also had some physical therapists called Next Era in the facility just to kind of get me feeling right and kind of get myself a new repertoire and feeling strong. Added a sweeper, which I guess everyone likes to talk about these days. And then, just like really got my changeup figured out. And that led me to have a 4-pitch mix when I went to Korea, and I think led to a lot of the success. But Korea was amazing. They treated me really well. The atmosphere is, unmatched with, the chants and just the way the crowd is. But it was a great place for me to go and I wanted a place where I could throw a ton of innings and, work on my things that I made adjustments on. And, Korea really offered that for me.
You mentioned 2 of those pitches. What is that full 4 pitch mix, and how is it different than what you were doing when you last pitched for the Nats?
Yeah, I mean, sinker for the most part, cutter, sweeper, and changeup as the 4. The biggest difference is just didn't really have like a put out breaking ball in the sense. Cutter was my go-to, but not really a swing and miss pitch. But adding the sweeper just added some velocity to my breaking ball, and just was really getting the swings and misses that I was missing in the big leagues. And then the changeup was just another way to kind of keep both righties and lefties off my fastball, which I really needed. And that was probably the biggest changes.
Hey, Eric, just what stood out to you? What attracted you to the White Sox?
Obviously a great offer on the table, and talking with Pedro and Katz and Getz, just kind of their talk about starting a new culture there, and also it's a place where I felt like I could get into the rotation and try to really help the squad be better and be part of the rebuilding of that rotation for sure.
When you went overseas, how different was it for you, and how did that come about that you were able to do that? And usually I've been finding out that a lot of pitchers have success when they do it.
It's obviously a tough move, just picking up and going to a different country, but NC was great about helping me adjust well, in the sense of gave me a place to live, a great translator, made me feel comfortable. But it's just something where, I don't know, I guess everyone has their own take on why they might have success, but I just felt like I came in there in the best shape and the best, in the sense, pitching repertoire I've ever had. And, I had a lot of confidence going in there, and I think it just led to the success.
How did they use you?
I guess as their number 1 starter, they gave me the ball, and it was nice to have that confidence again of somebody, handing you the baseball and expecting, 6-7 innings and 100 pitches. And, just kind of, that fed into my confidence, and I think led to kind of revitalizing of remembering who I was.
Hey, Eric, for those of us who aren't that familiar, can you give us like a comparative level for what the competition level is like over in the league you were playing in? And just, when you went over there, did you feel like did you look at big picture? Did you look at long term that it may turn around and you come back and you'd be, a pretty coveted pitcher going into the season?
Yeah, of course, the goal going over there was to, hopefully come back to the big leagues. Like I said, it was somewhere where I felt I could work on all my new pitches and, get the ball every 5th, 6th day there and, throw a ton of innings and, prove what I had. And, maybe wasn't quite expecting the all-out success that I had, but, that's what I wanted, and was able to, was able to do it. But the competition is, of course, it's not quite the major leagues, but it felt like each team had a couple major league quality hitters, not quite as much power for sure. But, they still a little more into the small ball, moving runners, fouling off pitches. So they work you in different ways, but I guess maybe the overall power threat wasn't quite there in Korea.
Eric, how much confidence have you gained since leaving Washington and not having to live up to those expectations that were so great and so probably daunting on you at certain times during your career there?
Yeah, for sure, I feel like I haven't had quite this confidence in a long time. Those are things, the pressure and things that I think that's a privilege and something that, I hope for and, that I want. But overall, like I said, the new pitch mix and all those things, to see the success I had with them, there's just no more confidence I could possibly have than what I do now. So now it's about taking that and feeding it into my upcoming pitching in the majors again.
Eric, you're talking a lot about confidence. What sort of confidence do you have that the success you had facing that competition level in Korea will translate to the major leagues and you'll get the results that you're looking for or something similar?
Yeah, I really believe it's going to translate well. The biggest thing is my last year in DC, I was not feeling as amazing as I do now. I feel strong. I feel healthy. To me, my velocity's back. And I just feel like there's sharpness on my pitches that, I just didn't have there at the end of my career. I've been lucky enough to pitch in the big leagues, and I know what it takes to, get outs, get swings and misses, and be successful. And I think, I have a lot of confidence thinking that what I have right now is a repertoire that can do that.
We've heard a lot, be it from yourself, the manager, so many others, about Chris Getz's vision for the future. What were your conversations with him like leading up to this agreement, and what do you kind of take away from what he's got planned for this White Sox team?
Yeah, I mean, I got to speak to him kind of once we finalized like the offer, and that I was planning to come to Chicago. He called me and he seemed so fired up and excited, and to me that was just something that got me very excited to have somebody that's so passionate and and someone that personally wanted me to come play there. So that gives me a lot of good feedback. But yeah, he spoke about like how he said he wanted to change the culture and just kind of get us moving in the right direction. And I'm really happy to hopefully be a part of that vision.
Eric, your confidence is obviously so much greater now. If you could take us back to where you were mentally and maybe physically too, that last year in Washington, kind of like, where was your head and what was your confidence level like then? And what were sort of some of the things that you were going through and dealing with? That last year, the reality was, unfortunately, in spring training, I, had a little hiccup with health, and I just felt like I was behind the 8 ball from the beginning and never really felt truly healthy. It was tough. My velocity was down. Things weren't sharp. It felt like rather than focusing on maybe, really focusing on being my best, it was just trying to get ready to go out there every 5 days. And, it's not a fun place to be when it's a long season. But, like I said, changed like the way I prepared for the season, changed the way I go about my physical therapy and, just preventing things like that. So I think, like I said, the biggest thing is feeling healthy. I feel like, I'm throwing as hard and as well as I have ever in my career. So I feel like that's probably the biggest change from what I was there in 2022. And when did things really click for you? Was as this past season sort of developed, or did you know going into the season that you were going to kind of be back and pitching the way you wanted to pitch? Well, I guess in the off season, I definitely tried to put in the work to, be the best I could. But you never know how things are gonna shake out once, real hitters get in the box and you have real at bats and in games. So I think after maybe that first month in Korea, when I was having a lot of success and getting, just feel like I was being in command on the mound, is when I first realized, like, I think all the hard work paid off, and I'm at where I want to be.
Yeah, after all that you've been able to go on through to get back to this point, just what does this opportunity mean to you?
It means everything. I had that just terrible taste in my mouth about the way my career ended up in the major leagues, and going to Korea, it could be the last taste you ever had of it, and I just really didn't want that to be how my career ended in the major leagues. And luckily I'm able to pitch well and get a chance again, and that just gives me that much more fire to make sure I change the way I'm viewed and the narrative around my career and move forward in a positive way.
The motivation is clear, and it's a very easy guy to root for, because I think it's similar to what I heard from Zach Wilson, who stepped in for the Jets this past Sunday, and he kind of said, what, am I going to get benched again? Like Erick Fedde, I kind of, he's in the place of, what, am I going to go to Korea again? I've done that. Like, I've failed in Major League Baseball before. I have gone. I have improved myself. Here's my other chance. There's nothing to lose because, I have put myself in a spot to be here. There's no, question that Erick Fedde should be a major league pitcher. Now he gets the chance to go out and prove it. So I think it's an easy guy to, we talked about this as a bet. It's an easy guy to bet on.
Well, let's put it this way. I think hearing from the guy probably gives White Sox fans, or certainly the White Sox, maybe even more confidence than they had prior to when they were just looking at his Baseball Reference page, right? Because obviously, we've got this comment from AJ, which kind of says it all. if this was the KBO MVP and he hadn't had 6 years worth of major league experience prior, it would be this huge deal signing that the White Sox were able to get this guy. But because you can go look up, what has he done in the major leagues, and that it's not very impressive, you can enter this, with skepticism. And I'm not saying that's misplaced either, because listen, the last time this guy pitched in the major leagues, it wasn't pretty. That being said, listening to him, you can hear that he feels very different than he did before. That obviously the pitching is very different than it was before, because not only did he have that success over in Korea, but guys like Brian Bannister, guys like Ethan Katz can point to what he changed and say, oh yeah, we know that works, or we would have advised the same thing to get him back on track, kind of something like that. But you've also got him standing on the mound feeling a lot better than he did before. He's going to go into battles with opposing hitters feeling good physically, feeling good mentally, and being able to say, hey, I just did this last year. And, what do guys always say when they come up? They might not be 100% right when they say this, but what do they always say? Hey, it's the same game. 60 feet, 6 inches the mound. It's the same game. Go out there, do what you did last year. And, yeah, it might not be a 2 ERA. It might not be 20 wins, but to have success at the major league level in a way that he hasn't had it before is something he can, I don't want to say probably, but certainly he feels that he can produce after he hasn't really done that, at least not in any sustained way, prior in his major league career.
Well, and confidence in the actual pitches, too, because when he was in Major League Baseball, he didn't have confidence in his changeup at all. He didn't have confidence in his breaking ball, and that showed in his last year. He pulled back on actually throwing those pitches. So then it became easier to guess his pitches, right? Like, this is either going to be a sinker or a cutter. So hitters could just kind of gear up that this is going to be anywhere from 93 to 88, and they could just kind of tee off on Erick Fedde. Now he has the ability to keep them off balanced, right, with that sweeper, with that new split change that he talked about developing with push. And you could just see it in the amount that he threw the pitches in Korea. His last year in Major League Baseball, he threw his sinker 40.3% of the time. In Korea, it was 35.3% of the time, so about a 5% difference. His cutter went from 27.4 usage to 19.2%, so he really didn't rely on that pitch as much, but still nearly threw it about 20% of the time. His sweeper, which was a curveball back then, he threw 28.7% of the time, up to 32.9% of the time, so gaining confidence in that new pitch and wasn't afraid to throw it, right? I mean, this is a brand new pitch, and he's like, well, I got this weapon. Let's go throw it as many times as possible. And then that changeup, 3.5% up to 12.6%. And it's interesting to hear him throw it against both lefties and righties. Usually, you see Dylan Cease, he's throwing that 73-mile-per-hour changeup to Anthony Rizzo because to a lefty, that looks like a just giant beach ball, right? Just that's floating in there. With Fedde, that split, similar to like a Kevin Gausman, similar to a Logan Webb, is just going to have disgusting break no matter what, and I think that's really helpful. Righties or lefties, you're able to throw a changeup. Like Michael Kopech really couldn't throw a righty on righty changeup just because the differential in his fastball and changeup isn't that much velocity-wise, so it's just, I just have to sit back a little bit. So it is cool to kind of see the confidence that he has built, and obviously health is a big part of that. But going up and posting a 2 ERA in Korea also has to do with that too. And he's got the weapons to do it, right? He's got the tool belt has expanded for Batman.
I mean, we talk about it all the time, when a guy is struggling, just get a hit. You know what I mean? Just get a strikeout. Let's have that 1-2-3 inning, hit that one ball over the fence, and then the pressure's off. It becomes a lot easier. This is a guy who was not able to do those kind of simple things, either A, because of health, or B, because it just wasn't working for him the last time he pitched in the major leagues. What did he just do? He just had a season in which he saw it work. He saw the fruits of his labor pay off immediately. Not everybody is always, fortunate enough to have that happen. He has had it, and now he's got an entire year under his belt that he can lean on. It's not just, boy, I'm going into spring training, and hopefully Ethan has something for me, and hopefully it'll work. It's, I made these changes. They were extensive, and then I got to go test them out against in the sport. I mean, listen, I don't think anybody's pretending, whether it's Erick Fedde or me or you, nobody's pretending that the hitters that he was facing are going to be the same as the lineups that even the worst major league teams are trotting out there on a daily basis. But to be able to go do the action, do the job, and do it well for an entire season, and now he comes back and gets to go do it again, he can just say, I remember how that felt. I just did it last year.
Right.
It's not like it's a question without an answer.
Well, it's similar to the Royals new signing, Seth Lugo, right? I mean, he's always been relied on as a relief pitcher, and he's wanted that opportunity to be a starter, and he finally was allowed to do that by the Padres, and you could just see the confidence kind of building, and maybe the first month wasn't good for him, but after he got through that first month, he started to take off. Erick Fedde talked about the same thing. It kind of took him a month to get comfortable in a new country, completely a new league, and then you started to see him jump from there. And the one thing that I think will be different from Fedde, from the KBO to Major League Baseball, obviously he went from Major League Baseball to KBO, now he has to come back. The K rate won't be there, at least to what it was at the KBO. At the KBO, his K rate was up to, I think, about, I thought the swinging strike percentage was around 10%. His highest ever in the major leagues was around 8%. For context, major league swing and miss average for average major league pitchers around 11%. So he's still going to be under the major league average of swing and miss, but the sweeper gives him the opportunity to gain more swing and miss, same with that split change, as he addressed. But he's going to be a ground ball pitcher. He is a guy that was 23rd of 83rd from 2021 to 2022 with a 45.7% ground ball rate, league average around 42.9%. So he's about 3% better at getting ground balls than an average starting pitcher. So he's still going to be a guy that gets ground balls, and with the improved defense, that should help Erick Fedde. He was also 5th from 2021 to 2022 in ERA minus FIP, so fielding independent pitching, right? Like we talked about this with Dylan Cease and Michael Kopech. If the defense was better, if they were making those routine plays, this is what their ERA would be. He was 5th in ERA minus FIP. So
in baseball,
in baseball, out of 83 qualified starting pitchers. So his 5 ERA over those 2 years was around 4.9, actually, if he had an average defense, which the Sox are hoping to get. So it might not be a 2 ERA with a 10 K per 9 for Erick Fedde, but he might be a guy that has like a 50% ground ball rate. And as long as the White Sox can play defense behind him, he should be able to get out of innings, and he should be able, as he showed in Korea, to give you 6 to 7 every night. So it might not be shut out 10 Ks each night, but he might be able to give you 7 to 6 consistent. Might be an ERA around like 4.2 to 4.5. That's not bad. That's major league average, and that's very valuable.
You can see the plan in motion, right? You can see what Chris Getz is trying to do right out in front of you. You know what I mean? Here's a ground ball pitcher. Why'd they go get him? Because they want Paul DeJong and Yoan Moncada and Nicky Lopez to pick up the ball and throw it over to first base. I mean, they went out and got guys that can field confidently, that they can be confident in their ability to field ground balls. And then what do? They go get a pitcher who's going to give them a lot of ground balls to field. I mean, this is not rolling the dice on a style of pitching that has to avoid the holes in your roster, which you might have seen from guys like Kopech and Cease the last year. I mean, their walks were through the moon, or through the roof rather, to the moon, whatever you want to say. Their walk totals were so high, and we heard from Chris Getz that some of the pitchers on the White Sox were not confident throwing the ball in the strike zone because they didn't want it to get hit on the ground and hit to this defense that was not going to make the play a lot of the time. So now you're putting defensive players behind them, which again, Chris Getz has said all of this. I'm not figuring out some sort of secret formula here. He came out and said, we want to get good defenders back there. The guys can hit it on the ground, do the job. And here you go. These are the guys that they're adding. So I think it's very interesting to see them build toward the specific style. We talked about the style of play that they want to see guys play. This is a style of play. And so as the offseason goes on, I'm not saying, sort your Fangraphs table by ground ball rate and put the top 5 guys on the White Sox, but you can look for guys in that have that as part of their game that might be what Chris Getz is looking for.
Did you say that because I have Fangraphs open sorted by ground ball rate?
No, but it's a nice transition to whatever you're looking up.
Good timing. Well, I just wanted to see, Erick Fedde's ground ball rate compared to where he would be in 2023. He would be about 22nd in Major League Baseball.
If you took his Korean ground ball rate.
Yes. No. If you just took his 2021 to 2022 MLB ground ball rate, where he was 23rd out of 83. 83. Dane Dunning at 46.3 would be where he slides in because he was at 45.7. So he'd still be around top 20 in the ability to get a ground ball out of hitters. And also, too, again, with those two pitches are supposed to look like fastballs. They're supposed to play off that cutter that sits at 88. That sweeper is supposed to play off that cutter that sits at 88. And hopefully you miss barrels and are getting weak contact. Hopefully you think that sinker at 93 is coming in, but it's actually that split change that you are a little bit early on in front, and Yohan Moncada is able to field a ground ball and throw it over to Andrew Vaughn, right? Like, I think that if he was around 50%, of a ground ball rate, I mean, that's top 10, and all of those guys have an ERA under 4.20. So, I mean, I'm not saying that, he's going to be getting Cy Young votes, but when Fred says Fedde's a fifth starter on a contending team, that's huge for a White Sox team that, I know we've brought this up, or you guys brought this up when I wasn't here, a White Sox team that is rebuilding, and if they do have a fifth starter on a team that doesn't really have an ego and is just trying to prove it, that's real intriguing to a playoff team to get a guy that can give you innings, can get you a ground ball, like what you're expecting from that pitcher, and just wants to win, right? Like, the sports are so individualized now. I think that this is a guy that probably doesn't have like, oh, I need to go out and start, right? Like him moving to the bullpen, I think he would love to have the ability to be back in Major League Baseball in the postseason. If he had the opportunity to help a team, like, that's a guy you want on your team.
Well, yeah, it's possible that this guy could become an asset for the White Sox depending on what the landscape looks like come July or the following July, I guess. But, I mean, think about it this way. Fedde is a fifth starter on a contending team. Okay, well, the White Sox aren't a contending team, and I understand that's the point you're trying to make. But the idea is, let's revisit that in a year. And let's see, A, where Fedde is, and let's see, B, where the White Sox are. Because if a year from now, Chris Getz has positioned this team to be a contender for the AL Central, we'll be conservative here, a contender for the AL Central in 2025, is Erick Fedde still the top of the rotation? I mean, if they trade Dylan Cease this offseason, Erick Fedde's your opening day starter for this White Sox team. Obviously, that might not be the kind of opening day starter you'd expect from a team that's going to either win a division or a playoff series or what have you. But also, let's see where Fedde is a year from now too, because the possibility exists, if you want to be optimistic or starry-eyed or whatever, that Erick Fedde might warrant top of the rotation 1, 2, 3 kind of status come opening day 2025. With the performance that he turns in. And if that's not the case, then you'd probably feel confident at him at the back of the rotation for a contending team, as you lay out there, Fred. Maybe the White Sox are in that position. Maybe next year is the year they're eyeing to go spend some money on some pitching. Maybe they think that the young guys that they've got at AA and AAA right now look really impressive come opening day 2025 or not long into that 2025 season. So, there's a reason that this is a 2-year contract, right? This isn't just, hey, we need a guy to log innings and get outs while we sit here and wait for 2025 to come around. He's under contract for 2025, and they gave him that contract that puts him under team control for 2025. It's very possible that he is part of their plan. I shouldn't even say it's very possible. He likely is part of their plan for 2025, not just sitting here killing time in 2024.
Yeah, and too, like, Erick Fedde could be giving you, a consistent 7 innings, 3 to 4 earned runs each night. But it's also, too, I mean, the defense is improved. The pitching is improved. Will the hitting be improved?
It isn't so far.
Right.
Yeah.
And the White Sox, if you flipped the results of every 1-run game last year, they'd go 72-90.
Still not good.
Still not good, but that's an 11-game difference, right? Like, how many 1-run games are they going to have where, it's 3-2, where Erick Fedde has a fine performance, just the White Sox aren't able to score? Like, I mean, that's the thing.
There might be a lot. Is what you're saying.
Yes,
right. Yeah,
right. Yeah, there's 49 one-run games for the White Sox last year. Maybe they're a little bit more competitive, and maybe they're in more games, and they play 55 one-run games. But I just think that Erick Fedde will allow them to be in games, and that's what contending teams want. Usually, contending teams are in games, so I don't think it's a bad thing to say that he'd be a fifth starter on a contending team, because again, the White Sox need anyone who's major league level. This guy seems to be major league level.
Right. I mean, we've been talking about it since before the season even ended, that the starting pitching need was so great because they just didn't have anybody. Right. And now they've got a guy who, in a league in a foreign country, was one of the best pitchers in that league, or the best pitcher in that league. So it's not anything to shake a stick at or to turn up your nose at. I don't know. I'm getting my
Shake your
metaphors. I'm
fist?
getting all metaphors all mixed up. It's nothing to turn up your nose at. We'll put it that way. That being said, I don't think we're going to sit here right now and predict that he's going to have a 2 ERA.
No, no. But a 4 ERA maybe, and that's really good. And for a major league starter, that might give you 130 innings. Erick Fedde, I think he's never posted a 2-WAR season. His best season was 1.2 FWAR. I think he easily surpasses that at least. That was with a 5.47 ERA and 133 innings. If he's able to give 150 innings with around 4.2 to 4.8 ERA, that's going to be an extremely valuable pitcher. So the White Sox, I think, made a real smooth signing there. So congrats to Chris Getz and Brian Bannister. Why don't we sing a little, Vinny? Is your singing voice warmed up? Me. 588-2300 Empire Today. Thank you to Empire Today for making it really easy to start ad reads. With Empire Today, you get shop at home. You get shop at home convenience. Boy, the right products for your needs and quick and professional installation at a low price guarantee. Empire Today is the best place to get new flooring. So, of course, they have copycats, but Empire can't be beaten on quality, service, speed. So competitors advertise low-quality products that Empire simply won't carry. Empire won't promise the lowest price because anyone who does is putting flooring in your home that they wouldn't put in theirs. And Empire keeps it simpling. How much do you actually want to think about flooring? These are flooring experts. Their philosophy is to help you find what you need, not overwhelm you with thousands of choices and substitutes, and what they leave out of their selection is just as important as what they put in it. Empire's product team exhaustively combs through thousands of product samples each year to find the perfect styles, and you can see all those styles with their virtual floor designer. It's a great way to see how new floors will look in any space. It's easy. Just snap a picture of your room and instantly see how new floors will look in that room. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use promo code CHGO. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/CHGO for details. Again, those copycats are offering you a lower prices because it's a cheaper product. You're getting $350 off just because you're a CHGO listener. So go check them out at empiretoday.com/CHGO. Vinny.
Yes.
Are you ready to tell people about ComEd?
Of course.
Because it's getting easier for businesses to switch to electric vehicles. That's something we can all get behind because they're less stinkier than gas motors. For the health of the planet and for the well-being of all of us who share it.
You're right, Sean. The electric grid is evolving to meet your cleaner energy needs as we all move with confidence toward an electric tomorrow. Whether you have one delivery van or a whole fleet of shipping trucks, ComEd can help guide you to make the changes that make sense.
So ComEd is basically like me going over to Korea and becoming a KBO Cy Young. Like that's the confidence that ComEd will give me.
They instill that confidence in you, yes.
What should business owners do to become Erick Fedde? The Erick Fedde of electric vehicles.
That's a great question, Sean. They should go to ComEd.com/clean to learn more about the resources, fleet rebates, and infrastructure incentives available to help businesses go electric. If you own a business, don't wait. Start making your plan today to switch to electric vehicles. They're good for business, good for the planet, good for all of us. Go to ComEd.com/clean.
I'm sorry, Vinny. I was drinking something, so my ears weren't open. Did you say ComEd.com/clean?
Sean, I did. Your ears must have been working fine. So go now and see how going electric connects us to a better way of doing business and to a better future for generations to come.
Amazing. Tony La Russa has seen generations of White Sox baseball. He's been around for a while. I think since 1979 was the first time that he was hired as White Sox manager. And obviously that wasn't continued. There was a time where Tony La Russa was fired, and that was Jerry Reinsdorf's biggest regret. And as we learned in 2021, he wanted to make good on that regret. Tony La Russa became the manager for the White Sox and had to step away in August of 2022 due to health concerns. Daryl Van Schouwen of the Sun-Times today spoke to Tony La Russa and published a piece. And Tony talked about how much better he's feeling since getting taken care of by doctors.
Mm-hmm.
Doctors are doing their job.
They are.
Big of them. But Tony also addressing the senior advisor role that we've heard so much about. What'd you take away from that piece? A lot of concerns have been building up for White Sox fans being like, oh, is Tony La Russa pulling the strings on the White Sox organization? Daryl's story doesn't really seem like it's that.
No, I had two big takeaways, and obviously I think I've said it before, and you maybe could even glean it whether I said it outright or not. White Sox fans are pretty mean to Tony La Russa. They were not very patient with his existence, really. We'll put it that way. And I think that was more a reaction to how he ended up being hired rather than the guy himself. But the opinion of the guy himself, be it as a guy or of a manager, was completely colored by the way that hiring process went, right? And so I think because of that, those feelings, even though he's been out of that job for more than a year now, those feelings never really went all the way away. And so I think that the idea that he was ruining or having some sort of negative influence on things moving forward was obviously colored by that. That being said, I think it was extremely important for him and certainly Daryl through his reporting to clear up exactly what he's doing. And it sounds like what he's doing is providing insight that can only be gained from decades worth of experience doing this. What I said when Tony La Russa was hired as the manager was, say what you will about him, if the goal is taking a team to the World Series, he knows how to do that better than most. Maybe not in 2020, whatever, but certainly in 2011, he knew how to do it. In in whatever other year the Cardinals won the World Series, 2006,
yes,
he knew how to do that. And in 1989, he knew how to do that with the Oakland Athletics. So taking that plus all the other success, winning divisions and making playoffs, hell, he won one division with the White Sox in 2021, didn't he?
Did.
And using that as a resource for this team and its decision makers, the guys who are actually, to use your phrase, pulling the strings, right? I don't see that as a terrible thing. I understand why folks would call it bad if they already didn't like him in the first place, but I would say this, that the clearing up, I think he phrased it this way. He's putting in his 2 cents, and the other 98% of it is everybody else.
Yes.
Yeah.
I also love the crossover between Tony La Russa and Hulk Hogan. That's all I know how to do, brother. La Russa said, is what I'm assuming how he said it. I'm not ready to do anything else but stay close to the game. And again, we obviously know the relationship between Jerry and Tony La Russa. It makes sense that this is the team that he ends up with because of the trust between him and Tony La Russa.
And let's not forget, as was pointed out by Daryl, he had similar roles in other organizations too. Right. Obviously, a lot more power, for lack of a better term, when he was with the Diamondbacks, but he was in pretty much a similar role with both the Red Sox, the year they won the World Series, most recently, as well as the Angels, the year before he came back to the dugout with the White Sox. Now, he said he didn't like that very much because he didn't like being in the front office as opposed to being in the dugout, but he has done this type of thing before with other organizations.
To table his current position now for later, to speak on what you said about White Sox maybe treating him unfairly, I guess this would be, I would react the same way as if they signed Zach Greinke. We brought this up after the show yesterday, that Zach Greinke is telling teams that he wants to come back. Like, it's putting your eggs in a 40-year-old starting pitcher. It's putting your eggs into a 76-year-old manager. I'm not trying to be ageist here, but the average lifespan's around 79 million. That'd be nice. Yeah, 79 years old. So it's not surprising that a 76-year-old man ran into health issues. And as he said, like, he had a pacemaker put in 2022 that got faulty, and he had a separate issue that he wanted to keep private, which, he has all the obviously HIPAA is a thing for a reason. He can keep whatever issues he's having to himself. But it did feel, when fans were seeing him possibly not off in the dugout or whatever the hell that was, like, it didn't feel like we were truly getting the insight to what was happening. And then it felt like not only fans were blindsided, but the team was blindsided. I mean, like, I think Michael Kopech said that he learned that Tony was stepping away that August 30th night or 31st night from the Jumbotron. Like, it was kind of, it caught people off surprise the way that the Tony La Russa managing career ended. And I think it's not surprising for that managing career to end the way it did for a 76-year-old man. Like, it was just more of, it was less about the process, because I understood the process. Jerry and him are close. It's just, I mean, I don't know if that's the right person to, I don't know.
That's all right. We don't need to rehash was Tony La Russa the right guy to manage the team or not. I think most people would have expected, for a litany of reasons, somebody else. I think, though, that folks were treating, my point is not, look how folks treated Tony La Russa at the end. It was, look how folks treated Tony La Russa from the second it was rumored that he was going to get the job. And so I think from that jump, that colored so many people's opinions of him moving forward, and that was unable to be changed. And listen, that's history. We're not dealing with that anymore. The other takeaway that I had from this, though, which I think is important to the future of the present and future of this team, was the relationship with Pedro Grifol. And I think I've brought it up with in regards to this topic before when we've had similar conversations about Tony and about him being around still, was how would you like it if you're Pedro Grifol, and the guy who had the job before you and was not fired from that job, just could no longer continue in it, is kind of there sharing his opinion on maybe what you should be doing. And I think that it was very important to understand that environment, to hear from both Tony and Pedro on that topic. You've got Pedro saying that Tony has become a friend of his, and that the resource of having Tony there is invaluable. That you've got Tony saying, I'm not here to meddle in his business and tell him, what he should be doing and all that kind of thing. Rather just offering, hey, here's what I did, take it or leave it. Here, when we had this problem, we did these drills. So maybe you want to do that, maybe you don't, kind of thing. And I think when it's colored in that light, when it is given the detail of what he's actually offering up to Pedro, that to me does sound more like senior advisor, guy with 3 World Series rings, offering whatever advice you might need. And it doesn't seem like, hey, I'm standing over you, manager, who's never done this before, watching you with a magnifying glass and saying, nope, you should have done that, you should have done that, you should have done that. That's you're in Herb's job, obviously.
Right.
But so many times, whether it was you or Herb or any number of people in our comments last year, the idea was Pedro Grifol looks in over his head, kind of thing like that. He's never done this before. Is the job too much for him? Well, guess what? He's got the guy a phone call away, or a walk up the stairs, or a trip up the elevator away, who has done this before, basically more than anybody else ever has. And so that to me strikes as a resource, and it strikes as a positive one. He pointed out that anybody guessing that he might have been the one to make the call on whether Kenny or Rick should have been fired, he made sure to say that was ridiculous. It truly seems like Jerry Reinsdorf has a relationship with the second winningest manager in the history of baseball. And he is going to use that to make the guy he hired to be his manager as good as he possibly can, in addition to the team around him.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's similar. Wyoming's football coach just left, and he was previously at North Dakota State, and he won a ton of national championships there, and then he went to Wyoming and had similar success because he knew how to build a culture. The guy that's replacing him is just an assistant coach who's never done it before, has been under the head coach, and has watched him how he's built his culture, but it might not be the same effect, might not have the same presence. So I am with you. I don't mind that Tony La Russa is offering guidance to Pedro Grifol. I don't think it can hurt. Again, if you had to grade Tony's managing stint from 2021 to 2022, you'd probably put it from anywhere from a C to a B. He won a division. They won over 90 games in 2021. I think that, and when they left, they were probably 500 in 2022 because that was the entire year. It's not like it was the worst hire in the world. It just maybe, again,
from a results standpoint, you mean?
Yeah, from a results standpoint in the world.
It sure didn't go right. I don't think anybody could say that it was it was very successful in year 1. It was wildly disappointing in year 2. But we didn't know how wild the disappointment could get in the year after he was gone.
If they hired Pedro Grifol in 2021, I don't think that team has the same amount of success as Tony La Russa did in 2021, if that makes sense.
Perhaps.
I do think that it was a fine hire. I didn't like the way it was done, obviously, and I don't really like the way that Jerry does things. But at least he's consistent. At least, it's not surprising that Tony La Russa is advising Pedro Grifol. As long as Pedro Grifol wants it, and it seems like he does want it, I'm fine. Use all the resources that you could possibly can to help yourself and grow and get better. So I have no issues with it. And, that's the way it rolls. We weren't supposed to do an Empire read when we did.
It was very nice, though.
It was.
Yeah.
So we're just going to do a Ray Chevy read now.
Okay.
And let the people know about our lovely friends over at Ray Chevy. We'll continue maybe the Tony La Russa discussion in a sec. I don't think there's much to add because, again, he's the 2%er. I don't think that it's going to be any words out of Tony La Russa's mouth going to cause drastic changes in the outcome of the 2024 White Sox season. Hopefully it just makes Pedro Grifol feel a little bit more confident as a manager. Chevy, our friends over at Ray Chevy, are going to make you a little bit more confident in getting the best price for a vehicle. If you are looking for a new vehicle, Ray Chevrolet is having their biggest sale of the year right now. Make your way to Ray Chevrolet on Route 12 in Fox Lake to join in on the savings for their model year-end sales event. As one of the top selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, you'll always be able to shop one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories. But right now, they're trying to make room for incoming 2024 models, so all of their current inventory must go. Plus, you can find the perfect tailgating vehicle at Ray Chevrolet because they have over 100 new Silverados in stock. And that's not all. You can get 0% financing with $0 downs and 0 payments until spring 2024, or save over $3,000 on a new Chevy Blazer, $4,000 on an Equinox, or over $10,000 on a Silverado. And to top it all off, they're pricing over 125 vehicles under $20,000. Seriously, can pricing get more affordable? The last time I went car shopping was not a fun experience, and I ended up getting the same car that I had that I wrecked for the same price.
It was already wrecked.
Yeah, right. And they didn't have any new cars on the lot. You can go to Ray Chevy right now and get a ton of new vehicle options. So go check them out on Route 12 because they're also offering you a free oil change. Everyone loves the word free. All you have to do is mention CHGO when scheduling your oil change online or on the phone, and you better hurry because this exclusive offer ends December 31st, 2023. Visit Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com to get your model year-end savings. They've been serving the community since 1963. Find new roads. And speaking of roads, I was on lovely 9094 today, and I saw, to my left, didn't realize, a beautiful view of Midtown Athletic Club and Hotel. You could see it right there.
You could see it right off the Kennedy.
You could see it right there. You could take that exit and go right there to the Midtown
And if you're on the
Athletic
Kennedy,
Club.
you should take any exit you possibly can.
It's not that bad right now.
Well, they finally cleared it up.
Yeah.
They finally switched it back to 4
It's only
lanes.
going to be
but-
open for like a couple months.
But yeah, once the warm weather comes back in, 8 months or whenever Chicago winter is usually over, they'll be right back at it.
8 months is a long time.
For winter, yeah.
I
That
mean,
was a joke that I
yeah,
was
No, I
making,
got you. But I mean, like, hey, if the Kennedy is at its current state for 8 months, that's pretty smooth sailing.
8 months would mean July. Let's hope that July and August, though, the cold weather is gone by then.
Welcome to Chicago, Erick Fedde. Midtown's for Chicago. What's the temperature in South Korea like?
I'm not sure.
Is it nice in Seoul? Midtown's 4 Chicagoland locations. There's none in Seoul because that's not in Chicagoland, but they have one in Palatine in the northwest suburbs, Bannockburn in the North Shore, Willowbrook in the southwest suburbs, and Midtown Athletic Club and Hotel in the middle of Bucktown and Lincoln Park, right off I-94. Midtown Palatine has also launched a multi-million-dollar transformation of the club, which will be complete in early 2024. Listeners can lock in favorable rates if they join before the end of the year, and there's something for the club at everyone, whether you're a single person, whether you have kids, whether you're looking to make lifestyle changes. They have childcare available for those with kids. They have a ton of expansive classes and different opportunities to work out, whether you're looking for weight training, whether you're looking to do tennis, whether you're looking to shoot some hoops, maybe you're looking to get into a pool, maybe just to do some good old cardio. Midtown Athletic is a massive, at least the athletic club in the middle of downtown facility, and the ones that are in the outer regions are still top notch. Head over to midtown.com/CHGO to find out more and to tour the Midtown Athletic Club nearest you. I guess that's really all.
Hey, Sean.
I got to bring up. Yeah.
The weather's 43 degrees in South Korea, by the way.
And it's going to get much colder.
Yeah.
It's a nice day in South Korea.
Look, it's Sunday. It's going to be 22 degrees.
22?
That's their high.
It's too cold.
I didn't know Seoul was that cold.
How
too cold?
Yeah, they're colder than us. We haven't even gotten down to I feel like 20 degrees yet.
That sucks.
It was cold yesterday.
Yeah, it was.
But the high was like 30s.
Yeah, I mean, I went walking both days, and it's been pleasant. It hasn't been that bad.
Could be worse. We'll put it that way.
Any final thoughts on Tony? I feel
No,
like,
like
I
I
kind
said,
of abruptly end that conversation.
No. I think let's put it this way. I think that was an important piece of reporting by Daryl because I think, for better or for worse, White Sox fans had an opinion of what was going on with Tony, with the front office, with Jerry, and to clear that up, to make sure you know now what you have to base your opinion off of moving forward is a big deal. And so, listen to what a guy like Pedro has to say. If you're somebody who thinks, oh no, it's not, who can trust a guy I don't like to tell me the truth kind of thing. Well, Pedro's the guy who you would think maybe would be negatively impacted by by that sort of situation, and he's talking like it's going fine and that it's good. So, and certainly Tony, whatever your opinion of the guy, always kind of told us what was going on, with the exception of his health issue he wanted to keep private, but he was not shy to tell us what was going on, which is something that other managers, Pedro included, I think at times, are hesitant to do. If you want kind of a plus of the old school way of doing things from a media perspective, that was a plus during those 2 years to have him kind of provide that insight that we're always looking for, but for whatever reason, maybe newer school folks are more hesitant to give. He didn't do that, and so that was nice from our standpoint. And so knowing that, I have no reason to doubt that what he's saying is how it's actually playing out.
Yeah. And the one quote too, it was very similar to Shohei Ohtani apologizing for taking so long to make his decision. Tony saying, "I regret getting sick." It's out of your control. There's nothing you could think you could have done to avoid that. So obviously, we're glad to see that Tony's bounced back, feeling good enough to at least be a part of baseball, because obviously it's extremely important in his life. So glad he's at least not had that taken away from him. So that's cool. And he's getting to watch baseball with Liam Hendricks at the World Series up in that box. The hot stove. Pretty cold.
Well, it's getting hotter.
You think?
It's way hotter than it was last week in Nashville, for sure.
I thought Glasnow would be confirmed at this point, and that deal's not done. Yamamoto has not made a decision
He's
yet.
still meeting with teams. I saw just now there was a report he was meeting with the Phillies today, so who knows? Maybe he hits all 30 teams at some point here before going on. But
the White Sox are not taking a meeting.
But no, listen, I think the rumors are things that happen, right? The rumors is the hot stove. If it was just things that were, if it was just the news of the deals getting done, it wouldn't be so spicy all the time. So I think when you hear these rumors that say, "Oh, Glasnow maybe getting traded today," and then it throttles down, maybe it'll throttle back up and throttle down again. That is kind of the way it always works, and whether that irritates you or entertains you is up to your individual, opinion there. But I think that that's what makes the hot stove the hot stove. Last week there was just nothing at the winter meetings. It was just nothing. And so to have some bubbling on the hot stove right now is at least preferable to the nothing happening. So you've got Glasnow mentioned in things. You've got Yamamoto mentioned in things. Let's not discount that one of those guys that just came over from the league that Erick Fedde pitched in last year just got a 9-figure contract. Pretty big get by the Giants right there. So there are things happening as slight as they might be. But man, the man on the milk carton still remains Blake Snell, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, right. Where is he?
We haven't heard his name at all.
I think one thing was that on MLB.com said that the Giants are picking up interest in Blake Snell, so a little bit of something. Jeff Passan tweeted about 2 minutes ago that Tyler Mahle will be signing with the Texas Rangers for 2 years, $22 million. So I know all of you have been waiting with bated breath for what Tyler Mahle is going to do. There you go. Final thing on Fedde. Do we know his jersey number?
Oh, maybe.
Because he was.
Let me look.
So he's first 23 with the Nationals. That's currently Benintendi's number. Then he was 32, which is Gavin Sheets' number.
Sometimes it's in the release. So
maybe he'll be 24.
Maybe he'll be 24, but when he was with the NC Dinos, he was 13. No one has worn that number since Willie Harris in 2003. Antonio Ozuna wore it from 2001 to 2002, but mainly Ozzie Guillen wore it from 1985 to 1997, and that's kind of been a little quote unquote off limits for people.
No jersey number information was in the official announcement, so we can only guess.
We can only speculate.
I'm guessing 24.
You're going to guess 24.
That's my guess.
24?
That's my favorite number.
They're going to give him Diane Viciedo's number?
Is anyone
just like that?
Is anyone
just
24?
Like
Yaz was 24.
Yaz was 24.
So 24 will be open. All right. Sarah's taking 24. Do you have a guess?
I'll say it'll be in the 30s.
Okay.
Because he was 32 with the Nats, right?
Yeah, he was 32, and that's Gav's number. I don't think Gavin Sheets is on the team, so I think he gets 32.
Oh, possible.
Do you think he goes out to Ozzie and be like, Ozzie, man, I really found
it was my Dinos number.
Yeah, I really found something with 13. Can I use it? What are they going to do with that number? Do you think maybe we save this for tomorrow?
Well, who's also gone? Liam Hendricks. He can flip it.
Oh, he can flip
31.
It. Oh, all right. Hey, all right. Maybe we'll see him be 31 because he was 32. That's just one step down.
And it's 13 mirrors.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go with you. 31 will be Erick Fedde's number. That's my speculation there. I'm excited to see Fettuccine pitch. That's Vinnie Duber.
Hold on. Don't I need to do a Foco read?
Oh, you do need to do a Foco read.
All right.
Why don't you do a Foco read?
I'll do it right now. Normally, when we're over in Studio A, you see the classic Southpaw orange flag White Sox bobblehead doll. You see the Tim Anderson waiting for a red line train to Howard bobblehead doll. You don't see that today because we're in Studio B, but normally you would, and you would go, oh my God, those bobbleheads are amazing. Well, guess what? They came from FOCO. And so you can go over to FOCO. You can get fitted out in the best sports gear around. They've got hoodies, they've got shoes, they've got signs, they've got bobbleheads, and they've got everything in between. It's baseball season. And I say that because it's always baseball season, even though it's cold and no one's playing baseball. So get yourself Aloha shirts, straw hats, polos, bags, everything you need for that wonderful opening day game on the South Side in late March when you'll be playing bags in the snow.
Ooh, look at that. There's a Southpaw hat.
The mascot plush hat.
That's really cool.
That's what you're getting at FOCO?
I'm going to get that for you. I know you already wear the suit.
I can't wear that in the press box, that's for sure.
You can't wear it in the suit because that would probably cause a lot of constriction. So, but I mean, your day's off, you can wear it.
I can wear it at home. Okay. I can wear it in bed.
Your wife will love that.
Yeah, I'm sure she will. You've seen the set decorations that FOCO gave to us so generously. So go show them some love. Check out FOCO.com or click the link in the description below for all non-presale items. You can use the promo code CHGO10 for 10% off.
Justin in the chat saying 8's a now open number because Debo's gone. So I do wonder what number we'll see. Maybe Paul DeYoung takes that. He wore 11, 12, 10, and 18. So maybe he goes 8.
He can't wear 11.
7's open because TA's gone. So 7's...
Who's 12?
I don't know.
Is 12's not retired, is it? No, that was AJ's number.
Yeah, no.
So who has it now?
12 was last. Romy has it.
I could see him taking over 12 because he can't have 11. That's Louis Aparicio.
I think he's going to buy it off Romy.
Or he's a veteran. He just gets to have it.
I think Paul DeYoung will go to. It's cool to have a single digit number. So I think 7 or 8 will be Paul DeYoung.
Also, 1 is available. Elvis Andrus is gone.
That's true. 1's a pretty good number. It's the magic number. Is it? No,
3
is
the
magic number.
Yeah.
I don't know anything. That's Vinnie Duber. You can follow him at Vinnie Duber. He's our CHGO White Sox beat writer, and you can read his latest piece about Fettuccini, Erick Fedde, up at allchgo.com, recapping what he had to tell the media today about gaining confidence over in South Korea. Make sure you go read that at allchgo.com. Thank you to Sarah for producing the show.
Thanks.
You're very welcome. Herb will be back soon next week. Vinny and I will be back tomorrow. I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, and we will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.